Thanks for the opportunity to join you tonight. I've lived in the Eurobodalla at Potato Point since 1983. I've owned and run restaurants in Bodalla for the first 10 or 12 years, and then for about the same length of time in Batemans Bay. So I've got a good spread of experience through the south and the north of the Shire. I've always been self-employed. My kids were brought up at school here in Bodalla and Narooma, and I just think it's magic to live here and to have that opportunity. I came from Melbourne originally. The only thing I remember from philosophy at university was John Stuart Mill, and that was the greatest good for the greatest number. And whilst I've never had an agenda in council, I've held pretty true to that principle, which means I won't ever try to please everybody, but in my assessment of whatever issues are before us, I will do what I think is in the best interest of the majority of people around the place. Personally, I want the Eurobodalla to remain a place where you would aspire to live, where you'd be happy to raise your family, and where businesses prosper. I believe that in a successful business environment, you enhance the opportunity to look after those that perhaps have less ability to look after themselves. And council has been very active in the region of helping people that are less competent in that field. And I would certainly commit to maintaining that action on council's behalf. As far as other community involvements, I chair a body called Regional Development Australia, which is a federal body, and our particular region covers from Berry down to the Victorian border, and we're a body that facilitates and points out to government where we think there are greater opportunities for economic investment to get and make our communities stronger and better. I've also in the past been heavily involved with getting the new oncology and renal centre in the Eurobodalla Hospital, and was happy to head up a fundraising activity that raised over $260,000 out of our community alone. And I certainly want to see the new hospital have everything that we currently have, but a hell of a lot more. Thank you.
G'day, James Thomson. I've just finished my first term on council. I'm the fifth generation of my family to serve on council, so you know we've been around for a long time. I've got some of the other members on my ticket, which you probably know, but Joe Starling and Jen Campbell from Tuross, and Catherine Lawler, a farmer from Kadji. I'm a sheep farmer, is my day job. Still rebuilding since we got wiped out in the fire, so that's a work in progress. I'm the chairman of the Disability Inclusion Action Committee on Council and deputy chair of the Heritage Committee, Goolagga Board of Management, Australian Coastal Councils Association, and delegate to Floodplain Management Australia. Basically, I think the biggest reason I would like to be returned is to see through a lot of these big projects that we started, like Bay Pavilion, Southern Dam, the shellfish hatchery out there at Maria, which is going to be, I think, quite exciting, that one. Other things that I've been proud to be part of is the airport upgrade and the new Bass exhibition space. Working particularly with people with disabilities a lot, and accessibility issues has been really rewarding. And the work that council's done since the fires, there's 19 bridges that had to be replaced, and so much work down that. And during the fires itself, I think council was just amazing. And it was proud to be a part of that. That's probably all for me at the moment. I'll hand it on.
Hello, Mathew Hatcher. I decided to stand for council about 2 years ago, when just under 2 years ago after the fires. A bit of background about myself. like most of you, I was born somewhere else, but decided to find this place and call it home. I met my wife in the States about 20 years ago, moved over here, and just thought it was the best place on the planet. We decided to travel the world for a while, and after about 10 years, we came back to this space. I was working just random jobs, but I realized that, you know, to really make it, you had to start a business. So I started a small business. And since then, in the past 7 years, I've created 4 different small businesses in the region, employing lots of people. The president of the Batemans Bay Chamber, and I was vice president previous to that. Most recently, post bushfires, I started a non-profit group called South Coast Donations Logistics, which our role sort of in the community at that time was just to take in goods and make sure that they were distributed throughout. In the early stages, the design was there to, I guess, just support the streets in the town that I was currently in, but it sort of turned into a much bigger project. And over the next, I guess, 12 months, and even up until today, we're still sort of going in the background. We worked from Lake Conjola down to the border, and we pushed distribution of products, houses, water, cars, RVs, out to the community. I am super passionate about this community and just seeing it rebuild, and having a young family, and just making this place as live up to what I know it can be. So I just, you know, really want to instill that more than anything, this community is still rebuilding after the fires, and I think it's key that we have some young, passionate people on council that are willing to open the doors and allow community to be heard and make sure that we're doing the best for everyone in the community.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gary Smith. I'm standing for the A Better Council group. May I just say it's really encouraging to see such support here from the community. So democracy is alive and well. Good to see you here. I've lived in this area for 40 years, raised a family, and in fact I lived on this lake for ages, and I'm very concerned about the condition of this whole area. I've raised a family here, and I've worked from Tilburg to Tuross through the whole Shire. I know it very well. And a little about me, I've had to write it down. I've had an extensive career and experience at senior level in local government and private enterprise with management and environment qualifications. I've been retired for a while, and I've been the manager of TeenSafe for 20 years, trying to put safe young drivers on our highways because of the terrible lack of public transport we have here. I'm an active supporter of the 1 Level 4 hospital, and I must say Dr Holland is here tonight, and I must congratulate Dr Holland on the work he's done for the 1 Level 4 hospital. Please, you're clapping into my time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. To me, the 1 Level 4 hospital is probably the major piece of infrastructure we could have in this Shire into the future and for now. I was the former director and the last chair of the Maria Hospital Board, hence my involvement in the One Hospital Group, vitally important. I was deputy captain of the Tulinga Bushfire Brigade many years ago, past board member of Regional Development Australia, past vice president of the Tuross Progress Association, this august group here. I've had to stand down because I'm a candidate. Former member of the Royal Society of Health, vice president of the Maria Community Film Club. I wrote a book recently, author of The Last Bonfire, about the baby boom history. Member of the Eurobodalla Classic Car Club, and last but certainly not least, father of 4, and I've lost count of the number of grandkids. So that's me. What I stand for this Shire, if I'm elected, is to promote ESC, Eurobodalla Shire Council, but I look at it as ESC, as economy, sustainability and the economy. Those 3 things have got to work together for us to move into the future. Thanks very much.
Evening all, I'm Tubby Harrison. We moved here in 1994 from Cairns with 2 little kids, and we ended up bought a business, the local produce store in Maria, which we had for 21 years. Then we sold it, and we did 2 years travelling around Australia, and then come back and now I'm retired again. I'm retired again, I should say. I really feel like we need to put some time into this community. I don't think that we've had the leadership out of the last council that we do need somebody to lead this community to get along. And I really, in all the things that I've done, I've found that you have to have somebody that stands up and is accountable, and I think I'm the right person to do that job. In Maria, I've done a lot of community stuff. I've worked on the race club. I do a lot of work at the local show. I've worked on the Chamber of Commerce. Me and Cole Cheshire are the ones that put the Christmas decorations up for many, many years until Essential Energy have decided that we can't do it no more. That's unsafe to do. But they're still going up again this year, and we're still working through the issues, put it that way. So look, I'm the sort of fellow I like to get in and work. I like to get in and work behind the scenes to make things happen. And I think that's what this council needs to do. We need to get all the councillors together. We need to work together for the benefit of the people, not for the benefit of the council itself. So, thank you very much.
Good evening, Turossians. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. I have to tell you, Kyla Lake brings back horror memories for my children. They will think of days stranded on a windy lake while their father sails for hours and hours. And as you know, with sailing, it's never in a calm condition, so we don't bring my kids here very much anymore. Anyway, so I'm Karyn Starmer, and I'm the mayoral candidate for the main team. Councillor Anthony Main, who I'm sure you all know, is number one on our ticket. Number two is Dr. Michelle Hamrossi, who's up the back there, and Trevor Moore, who's a Tuross resident. We're the main team. So I am a Marie resident. I have lived here since the late 1990s. My husband, Dr. Neil Starmer, and I came here with two babies, basically, and we made this home and we wouldn't live anywhere else. I have a background, I was a financial markets trader for HSBC Bank in Sydney for a decade. And then when I moved here, it was a decision about, do I support a GP husband or do I try and get a job? But there was no job for financial markets traders in the Eurobodalla, so I became a volunteer for 20 years. And in that 20 years, I have served on school boards. I've been president of the Parents and Friends Association of St Peters for 5 years. I have served Maria Surf Club for a very long time. I've organised the Town to Surf Fun Run. I was instrumental in reviving Mirrabooka Riding Club, which went into hibernation for a while. I ran junior rugby for Bowley Dolphins for 5 years. And I was coordinator of Maria Jazz Festival for 10 years, if you remember back in the days when we could close streets to have a parade. So I am that person that can do. I have executive level experience. I can read a balance sheet. I can read legislation. I'm a person who likes to collaborate to lead. I think our council at the moment has lost that sense of collaboration. I think our community wants councillors and the mayor to be listeners. We need to be advocates for you, for the community. And as mayor, that's what I would be, the lead advocate for you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Alison Worthington. I'm the lead candidate and mayoral candidate for the Eurobodalla Greens. And on our group ticket, I bring with me Nadine Hills from Akalele and Kylie Ryder from Maria Heads, a nice strong women's ticket there, along with Charlie Bell from Tomakin. I've come all the way from Maria to be with you this evening, where I live with my partner Ted in rental accommodation on the edge of town, and I really love the fact that I can ride and walk into town. Maria can be such a great, walkable, accessible town. It's got all the right ingredients, and I just love where I live. I arrived there in 2014. I was drawn to the area because of some dear old school friends of mine that live here, and completely sucked in by places like Kyla Lake and just the stunning natural surrounds, but also the strong community that I came across. I quickly became immersed in a community around sage, sustainable agriculture and gardening Eurobodalla. I had a little bit of a stab at market gardening, but what I was really interested in was this resurging local food economy. And that gave me an insight into how community banded together when they saw that food security was actually in trouble here. As it is in much of Australia, we think we're great producers, but there's some issues around what our access to food is really like and how safe it is. And I saw a group that had banded together to go, well, what could we do about that? And they actually set out with a program of growing the grower. We don't have food growing here if we don't encourage growers to be here. So just seeing that, how a community group can work for the better of their community, really inspired me. You might have seen me in Maria in the bookshop and in other retail situations. I've also worked as a disability carer since I arrived here. I'm a daughter, aunt, a lover. I'm a step-grandparent and a step-parent. I'm a godparent. I'm a people person. I'm a permaculturalist. I'm an activist. When I say activist, I mean that I just don't sit by when I see injustice. And I'm proudly green. And that's just a shortcut to knowing a little bit more about me. If you know a bit about what the Greens stand for, we are backed up by 4 pillars, which are social and economic justice, peace and non-violence and disarmament, environment, and grassroots democracy. So that's a shortcut to knowing who we are and what we stand for. In coming to council, we're bringing a campaign line, at least, of accountability, which we'll hear much more about this evening. Livability. We all love to live here, but how can we make that really work? And environmental responsibility. So thanks, I look forward to the evening ahead.
Hi, I'm David Grace and I'm from Eurobodalla Labor. We have a team of 6 people. Myself, Maureen Searson from Bateman's Bay, Mathew Findlay from Bateman's Bay as well, Claire McCash from Maria, Jack Egan from Rosedale, and Deirdre Russack from Narooma. Thank you for inviting me to speak to the Tuross community this evening. One of my first memories is of the Tuross Brute Shed when I was about 4, so this place is special to me. I've lived in Eurobodalla since 1988 and I've not found a better place to live. When I moved here in 88, I had a 1-year-old son, and I was employed by the council to set up their community services area. At the time it consisted of a community transport scheme and a few other things. My first work was to get the community centre in Maria up and running. Over the next 8 years, I had a lovely time actually building and developing the community services in the Bay, in the Shire, and found that was an amazing experience. Working with the community, I had so many committed community people who gave me wise advice when I needed it, sat there and told me you are not doing the right thing at other times. It was excellent, and that's how the council should be. I left Eurobodalla for a while. I couldn't keep myself away from it. I came back and I opened up Smith's Music. Some of you may remember it in the Bay. So I've actually had extensive retail experience as a manager and as an owner of a small business in the Bay. I know how hard it is to run a small business. I then spent some time working with people who are homeless or at threat of homeless. And I've also worked as a social worker in child protection. I know this Shire backwards. I know people who are doing it really well. I know people who are doing it really tough. And I know that both of those people are in this Shire. So what do we want? Members of the Eurobodalla Labor team decided to stand to council because we all want to make a difference. For too long, the council's not listened to the people it serves. It's run roughshod over communities in Bateman's Bay with the Bay Pavilion, with Browley with the Clark Street Community Land, and Dalmeny with Tatiara Crescent. No wonder you're worried about your heritage lands and the proposed developments in Tuross. We want a council that builds partnerships with the community it serves, not the walls it has built over the years. We know that knocking down these walls will not be easy. It will take more than a few aspirational statements. We've worked with our local Labor colleagues over this long campaign to work out what we need to do to make these changes and how we can achieve them. You can see our practical and realistic 90-day schedule on a web page.